In the endless silence between galaxies, there floated a forgotten system, surrounded by dense nebulae and radiation storms that made navigation impossible for most civilizations. It was known to ancient star maps as the Ecliptane Reach, a region that even automated probes refused to enter. Every race that tried to chart it disappeared. Every attempt to decode its secrets ended in ruin. It became a superstition among stellar empires, an unreachable void no one was meant to arrive in. Then, one cycle, a signal emerged. It was faint, erratic, but undeniably artificial. The grand races of the Orion Compact, an alliance of 17 species, gathered in alarm. They had long believed that the Ecliptane Reach was sealed by the architects, the long-vanished beings who shaped many galaxies in the ancient past. No life should have existed there, yet something had begun to speak from within that darkness. High Command dispatched a reconnaissance fleet composed of the finest ships from across the Compact. They entered the Reach expecting static and storms, but what they found defied logic. There were ship signatures, hundreds of them, forming tight formations with precise discipline, and all carried the same identifier code: humanity. At first, the Compact refused to believe it. The species called human had appeared only a few centuries ago, emerging from a single backwater world. They were known as inventive, defiant, and recklessly brave, yet their technology was primitive compared to the ancient powers. Still, there they were, hundreds of human warships organized, armed, and moving in perfect silence. Commander Rethor of the Vin Confederacy hailed them. The transmission echoed back across the void. "Unidentified fleet, you have entered a restricted zone. Identify your purpose," the reply came sharp and unwavering. "This is Admiral Leon Carter of the United Terran Defense Fleet. We are not trespassing. We are reclaiming what was lost." The words sent ripples of confusion through the Compact's fleet. The idea that a young species claimed ownership of the Ecliptane Reach was absurd. But then the human ships advanced, engines glowing with deep blue light. They moved like a single organism, their vessels bearing the scars of countless battles yet exuding an unmistakable aura of purpose. No one in the Compact realized that humanity's arrival was not by chance. Decades earlier, a human deep space probe had vanished in this very region. Its transmission, filled with strange data, had spoken of an ancient machine world buried in the nebulae, a place where the architects had hidden their final creation, something called the core of continuance. When human scientists decrypted fragments of the data, they learned that the core could reshape entire civilizations. It could create or end entire realities. For the Compact, it was myth. For humanity, it was destiny. Admiral Carter had not come for conquest. He had come for survival. The wars of the Outer Arm had left Earth scarred. Whole colonies were burned, and the species was on the edge of extinction. In their desperation, humanity built fleets larger than any they had ever dared to imagine. They harnessed energy from collapsing stars, weaponized gravitational fields, and sent their greatest minds into cryogenic slumber to guide the mission to the Reach. Every ship was a cathedral of steel and memory. Every crew member carried the ashes of their home worlds sealed in pendants around their necks. The Compact saw only defiance. They assumed the humans sought to steal relics of power. They warned them to leave, yet humanity never retreated. When the first warning shots flared across the void, the humans responded not with fear, but precision. Their ships moved through the plasma storms like dancers in a long-rehearsed waltz. Their rail cannons sang, tearing through alien armor with tungsten spears. Compact ships scattered, stunned by the ferocity and coordination of the attack. But humanity did not pursue them. Instead, they pressed deeper into the nebula, toward the coordinates of the core. Among the Compact commanders, panic spread. Never had a species ignored them so completely, fought so effectively, and yet refused to destroy for pleasure. It was as though humanity was driven by something more than conquest, something almost sacred. Weeks passed. Compact fleets regrouped and surrounded the nebula, preparing for a full-scale engagement. They sent envoys pleading for explanation. Admiral Carter allowed one ship through. The envoy, Captain Ireth, a scholar of ancient architect technology, was received aboard the human flagship Resolute. Inside, she saw what words could not capture. The ship's halls were lined with memorials, names of fallen worlds, faces of children never to grow up, records of battles fought to defend fragile colonies. The crew did not look like conquerors. They looked like survivors who had lost everything and yet still dared to hope. Admiral Carter met her in the observation deck, where the distant glow of the core pulsed like a heart beneath layers of cloud and debris. "We do not seek to rule," he said quietly. "We seek to endure. That thing out there, it was meant to be found. The architects may have left it behind, but perhaps they knew one day someone desperate enough would come." Captain Irith studied him in silence. She could feel the hum of the core through the ship's hull, a rhythm older than galaxies. "You cannot control it," she warned. The last civilization that tried was erased. Carter's gaze did not waver. "Then we'll learn where they failed. Humanity was never meant to survive the first storms of its own world, yet we did. We were never meant to reach the stars, yet here we stand. No one was meant to arrive here, but we have." The compact gave its ultimatum soon after. They would not permit tampering with the core. Humanity ignored the decree. The battle that followed became legend. Thousands of ships converged on the Reach, turning the void into a storm of fire and radiation. The compact unleashed their superweapons, planet-cracking beams and drone swarms designed to devour fleets whole. Yet time and again the humans adapted. They used their damaged vessels as shields, sacrificed squadrons to protect their carriers, and outmaneuvered their foes with uncanny intuition. Even when surrounded, they refused to surrender. The Resolute led the charge toward the core, breaching the final storm barrier. Energy arcs licked its hull as systems failed one by one. The ship's crew chanted their battle hymn, voices merging with the hum of reactors nearing meltdown. Captain Irith, aboard her own retreating vessel, watched in disbelief. Through the sensors, she saw human ships disintegrate under the weight of the core's defense field, yet still they pressed forward. Every loss seemed to fuel the survivors. It was as though the entire fleet carried the weight of all who had perished before them. Finally, the Resolute reached the heart of the storm. The core floated before them, a sphere of light larger than a moon, threads of energy spiraling like living veins. The Admiral ordered all remaining power redirected to the main interface array. The moment human technology touched the core, reality rippled. Time bent, and across galaxies stars flickered as if holding their breath. Inside that brilliance, Carter stood at the central terminal, the walls melting into light. He did not see data or machinery. He saw memories. The core spoke not in words but in visions. It showed the rise and fall of civilizations, the endless cycle of creation and destruction. And in the center of it all he saw humanity, fragile, defiant, still fighting. The core offered him a choice: restore what was lost at the cost of his species' freedom, or let humanity stand alone. Facing the void without aid, he chose the latter. In that instant, the core responded. It did not destroy the humans. Instead, it reshaped the nebula around them. The storms parted, revealing a cradle of light, a new star system forged from the core's energy. The Resolute vanished, but the rest of the human fleet emerged in orbit around newborn worlds bathed in golden light. When the compact arrived, the battle was over. There were no signs of debris, no remnants of destruction, only a new sun and a message transmitted across all frequencies. We endure. Those words echoed through every communication relay in known space. The compact withdrew, shaken to the core of their beliefs. Some called it a miracle, others a warning. Yet the truth was simpler. Humanity had done what no species dared. They had gone where none were meant to go, and they had survived not by domination but by will. Generations later, travelers spoke of the Reach as a sacred place. The newborn worlds became havens for explorers, dreamers, and refugees from every race. The compact eventually acknowledged humanity's sovereignty over the region, calling it the Concordia Expanse. Admiral Carter was never found, but his name became legend. The story of the fleet that defied fate was told across every world, a reminder that in the vast indifference of the cosmos, there existed one species that refused to accept impossibility. Humanity continued to build, explore, and learn. They never again sought the core, but they carried its lesson within their culture, the understanding that endurance itself was victory. In the quiet corners of the new system, monuments stood in memory of the fleet. Each bore the same inscription etched in 100 languages. No one was meant to arrive. Then humanity took the stage. And among the stars, the echo of that arrival never faded.